Welcome back. Today we're going to work on opening up our hips if they're tight. I spent the weekend traveling, and usually after being on a plane or sitting in a car for long periods of time, I am so ready to open up my hips and just loosen up. So if you have really tight hips, I'm going to do modifications for almost everything so that you can follow along. And I will also be modifying for at any point if we're on our knees or anything for anybody who might have knee trouble. So let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to do first is, Milo is joining me, as you can see. Let's go ahead and get into a nice child's pose here, just to warm up and get in the right mindset. Now, if you want to, you can open up your knees to get into child's pose, or you can keep your knees together if you want. Either way works. And then what you're going to do, because he's in the way, I'm going to scoot back a little bit. You're going to reach forward, just nice and long, letting your hips sink down toward your heels. And sometimes what I like to do is start with my knees together, and then I like to widen them about halfway through. Up to you, whatever feels good for you. This is your practice. And just breathing into any tightness you might be feeling. Clearing your mind of the day and just thinking about what you're capable of. Even if you're not sure in this moment, start to envision yourself doing what you didn't think was possible before when it comes to yoga. Prepare yourself. Ready for our practice? Good. I'm going to go and widen my knees out a little bit. It just gives me a slightly deeper opening here with my back. Letting those hips sit toward those heels once again. Relaxing those shoulders away from those ears. I always have to remind myself to do that. Nice deep breaths in and out our nose. And then if you want, taking it off to the right a little bit. And now, for those of you who maybe this is hard on your knees, if you had a knee surgery or an injury or something, one option here for child's pose is to put a nice thick blanket down under your legs. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. And if that's too much, you can always sit on your bum and reach forward, sit in a comfortable seated position, reaching forward. That's another option. Releasing that back. Good. All right, coming back to center, gently walking yourself back to center. And then coming up, we're going to come into a comfortable seated position. Looks like Milo's already there. So we're going to go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together into a butterfly. So what we're going to do here is open up. Now, if this is too much, if you're just not feeling this or you're really tight in your hips, that's great, because you should be doing this video if you are, or even if you're pretty open, this will feel really good. Opening up, you can bring your feet farther away from you, which will allow you to go a little wider if you want, but that's not always the object. You just want to feel a nice stretch right here. And another thing you can do is put like throw pillows underneath your knees or blocks, whatever feels good there. So get into a spot that's comfortable for you. I'm very open in my hips. I always have been. I was pretty much born that way. So mine go pretty much out. So, but you know, most people, they might be up here, depending on just how open you are. If you're feeling pretty good about this and you want a little more, you can lean forward slightly. Think about keeping your neck straight with your spine, because again, we're still thinking about, as always, sitting up nice and straight. You might feel, you're going to start to feel your outer hips release in this if you're really opening up, and if you lean forward slightly, you'll feel that too. Good. Go ahead and gently come back if you're leaning forward, releasing it, bringing those knees in. And now let's go and warm up. We're going to warm up our hips a little more here. So let's go ahead and come down onto our backs gently. And let's go ahead and do our first happy baby. I say first because we will do more than one because this is our hip video. So if you're not familiar, what we're going to do is, if you're able to reach, grabbing the outside of your feet and opening up your legs. This is a very vulnerable position, but that's okay. This is so good for your hips. If you want to do a slight rock here, you can. Now, if that's too much, if you can't reach there yet, you have the option of grabbing your calves or your ankles and doing the same thing, and just letting gravity do its work. Letting gravity pull the tops of your thighs down toward the ground. Another option is, if you have a strap or even a big towel, you can wrap it around your feet and hold it this way, okay? So just nice and open here. We're just going to hold this for a few breaths, remembering to breathe. I'm not always breathing because I'm talking, but just those nice deep breaths, opening up those hips. Maybe you open up your inner ear if you notice it's all clogged. Breathing, good. Just a couple more breaths here. Good. Now gently bringing those knees back in together and hugging them into you right here. You can do a little rock here. Okay, we're getting those hips nice and warm now. So now let's go ahead and plant this leg down and then cross over this one and then over. So you're in a number 4 stretch. So I have my left foot planted and my right crossed over it like this is almost a number 4, okay? Now you can switch legs, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to do both sides, and then what I like to do is I like to reach through, and depending on how open you are, you can grab behind your left thigh and pull it in. It's the leg that was planted. Now we've lifted it up. You reach behind there. If you're pretty open here and you're not feeling it as much, another option is you can grab on the outside of the calves and really pull it in toward you. Thinking again about those shoulders being down on the ground out of your ears. Good. Breathing into it. And you should feel a nice stretch right here. Really opening up, getting those hips nice and healthy. And one thing I like to mention about hips is that they're so affected. They affect everything. They affect your back, your neck, even the way you walk. So it's really good for them to be aligned and healthy. Just one reason I love to go to the chiropractor is to stay aligned, because I get out of alignment very quickly. Good. Breathing. Good. Gently releasing that foot down, uncrossing your legs. And now let's go into the other side, crossing over. That right leg is planted now. I'm crossing over the left, lifting up that leg, and then either going behind your right thigh, or if you're pretty open, you can go around that calf, just folding that leg. And you're probably going to notice, I definitely notice my left hip is a little more sore. You might find that one side is tighter than the other, and that's completely normal. I spent the weekend in New York City, and so I'm pretty tight just from all the walking, but also the travel and being on a plane all day on Monday. So this feels amazing. In fact, one of the first things I did when I got home was some yoga. Breathing. Sometimes in these poses I like to crinkle up my toes and splay them out, loosening them up, because for some reason my toes hold tension, maybe yours don't, but mine do. Feel that nice stretch there. Good. Good. Really giving those hips some love. Good. Okay, gently releasing that foot down, flat down on the ground. And now, crossing our legs. Now what we're going to do is go into our last happy baby. So, bringing your legs up. Again, you can grab your legs, you can grab your ankles, grab a towel and put it around if you want, strapping it around so it goes over your feet and then holding it down on the sides. Open up to happy baby. And this one might come to a point where it just feels pretty uncomfortable. You should never feel pain, but you might feel some discomfort just because you're not used to this. Your hips aren't used to it. They're not very open maybe, because we just don't move like this during the day. We pretty much sit or we walk in a straight line. We generally we don't move a whole lot, or especially our hips, unless you're like a professional salsa dancer or something. So this is why when we doing things like this is so good for us. So really, if this is uncomfortable, you can let out of it a little bit, like bring it in a little bit, but really stay there. Don't come out of it yet. I promise you will feel better after doing this. Nice open breathing, nice deep through in and out through the nose. Your slight rocks if you want to. One more big breath here. Nice. Okay. Now, hugging those knees in, just give yourself a light hug here. You should feel good. You should really start to feel like the inner thighs warming up as well as your outer thighs. Okay, so now let's gently roll up. And what we're going to do is come around. Now, we come around onto, actually, you can start on your knees if you want, or come into a plank just for a moment. Again, if that's not comfortable for you, you can come on your knees. Again, if you have knee issues here, we're not going to stay here, but always maybe have a really thick blanket available for you, or avoid being on your knees by coming in a plank as well. So then lift up your right leg and bring it through into a low lunge. Okay, so we're here in our low lunge. Now what I would like for you to do, again, you can drop this back knee. Again, if you have knee issues, maybe keep it up here, okay? And then we're gonna stay here for just a moment, bringing both of your hands inside of your right foot, okay? You should feel a bit of a opening right here. If you wanna add a little twist here, you can. Right arm is up. Really straighten that leg if you can. I know this is a little advanced, so if that's too much, again, lowering that knee onto a blanket if you need to, if you have knee issues. All right, untwisting it. All right, and then what we're going to do, bringing that right arm out again, so we're one hand on each side of that foot, we're going to turn this leg so we come into pigeon. Now, I understand it may not be that simple for you, and I'm going to show you. Let me grab my block here. Now, what you can do is if you have a block in pigeon, and this is so important for our hips, this pose is amazing for our hips, so what you can do is place a block right under your hip. So you can sit up here, you can lean forward, which I know a lot of people prefer. When you're just starting out, go ahead and lean forward, that's fine. If you need the block, let it support you. Get into a place where you feel like you can rest on it. Okay, because we're going to hold this for a few breaths. I'm going to take mine out for now. All right, let me get back on my mat because I'm coming off of it. Now, your leg is folded in front of you, and we're really trying to keep our torso straight, facing front, okay? Now, if you want to, and you can use the block for this, another block or a pillow for this if you want, you can come down and rest your head on the block if you want, coming forward. Or you can, if you're pretty open, you can come down to the ground too, that's totally up to you. or you can just stay on your forearms here. Good, and you should feel a nice opening now. We're back into the outer thigh and hip here. Really opening it up. Now, if you're just a pretty open person, one way you can make this a little more of a stretch for you is opening up this foot. So seeing if you can get more into a 45-degree angle with this leg, and you can go ahead and do that. So almost where your calf is parallel in front of you, but that's up to you. Good, just a few more breaths here. Trying to keep your back straight no matter what. Good. Now, planting your hands, tucking those back toes underneath, pressing yourself up. You can come back into that plank. Or what I'd love for you to do is come to a nice little down dog here. You can bend your knees if you need to. Remember we talked about that. If you're not sure about down dog or you don't feel good about it, check out my video, How to Do Downward Dog. It's really helpful. If you're able to drive your heels toward the floor, and your heels might be here, that's totally fine. Mine go down just because I've done this a long time. They did not go all the way down when I first started this, that's for sure. You can pedal out, just opening up the backs of those legs. Again, hips affect the backs of our legs, our necks, our back. So it's so good to keep them healthy. Okay, now you can come, you can just stay here, lift up that left leg, and then gently start to bring it through, and shimmy it forward if you have to, into that low lunge, okay? So again, thinking about sending that hip down toward the floor a little bit. You should feel a nice opening here. All right, so we have that nice opening. And again, lowering that knee if you need to on a blanket. You should feel it nice and open. Bringing both hands inside of that leg, that left leg. And then if you want to do a nice little twist here, you can. Very nice. And then coming back down, bringing that leg to the middle once again, and then bending it to that pigeon on this side. Very nice. Good. Again, this side is tighter for me, so, revisiting once again if you need the block, putting it under your hip, you can do that. And just so you know, they do sell blocks on Amazon that are thick like this. Or there are actually thinner ones too. I have one thinner one. I can put the link in I'll put the link in the comments section or the summary for this video, so you can find them for yourself, and you can pick whatever color you want. Good. Okay. Again, coming forward if you want, if that feels better for you. Nice straight back and neck here. Really taking care of that left hip, outer hip now. Good. Nice. Breathing. Planting those hands, tucking those back toes under one more time, pressing yourself up just into that down dog one more time. Again, you can keep those legs bent if you want. You can try to straighten them out and drive those heels down toward the floor, whatever feels good for you. Nice. Just kind of stretching out after that. Relaxing those shoulders away from your ears. Good. Nice deep breath here. I like to breathe out my mouth in down dog. All right, now gently bend your knees, walking forward, kind of just coming forward into a seated position. And then if you're able, you can kind of see if you're not, if you're still too tight for this, try stacking your legs, see if that's doable for you. If it's not yet, that's okay. just give it a try. See where you're at. Like take stock of where you are right now. And so when we continue to do hip work in the future, you'll have a good idea of, oh, you know, I couldn't do that when I first started. Switching legs, trying that out for a second. Good. And those back for more hip work. Okay, so now one last thing here, and then we will wrap up. So going into a nice straddle here, we're just gonna take care of those inner thighs one last time. So again, if you need a block for this, feel free to grab it. So what I like to do is let's just first try to come forward. You can rest your forehead on your block if you want. If you want to go deeper than that, you can go down to the floor. Just feeling this, you might feel this more in your hamstrings than your inner thighs. That's okay. Gently coming up, set the block aside, and then let's go ahead and reach over to, let's see, this would be your left side. Good. Nice reach here. You're probably feeling this more here. That's fine. That's connected to your hips too. We definitely want to take care of that side of our bodies. Coming back to center and reaching to your right now. Again, if you can't go as far as me, don't compare yourself. This practice is for you. Go at your own pace. Here, coming out of your hips. Good. All right, gently coming back to center. Bringing those knees into you, hugging them in, just seated here. Good. Roll around on your bum a little bit, your hips. Give yourself a little bouncing with your toes, your feet. Just a little massage there. Good. All right, coming to a comfortable seated position, whatever that might be for you. And let's go ahead and inhale up. And exhale down. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time.